become a master at ignoring all unwanted thoughts and focusing on just one thought, if you become a master at eliminating all distractions and focusing on your single goal or intent, then your whole life will change. In the age of distraction, the only people who can thrive and be successful are the ones who can eliminate and cut out the distractions, cut out the unwanted activities, and focus on what they want to or intend to do. The number one problem that we have today is the monkey mind. In yogic science, it's called the monkey mind. So what the monkey mind basically is that a mind is designed to jump from branch to branch. I realize that without fixing my internal world or my thought process or mastering my thoughts, if I go around chasing multiple things, I'm going to get success with none. Sajni here, and today we are going to talk about how to master your attention, and by that, how to attract your goals faster. So stick around till the end of the video because we are going to learn a simple four-step exercise which is going to help you master your attention. Before I begin, I'm super excited to announce that the 2-hour free masterclass for the group coaching and the one-on-one free consultation for the premium coaching for the Mindset and Reality Revolution program is open for enrollment. So stick around till the end of the video for more announcement on that. So without further delay, let's get right into the video. So today I want to make a very short video on how to master your attention and how to attract your goals faster so that you can start using it in your new years. This took me a very, very long time to master, but once I did, my life became much more peaceful, much more simpler, much more effortless than it was while I was trying to do multiple things and getting success with none. So let's first start with the problem. So the problem begins with the mind. The ones who will be successful are the ones who can separate the wheat from the chaff, the noise from the signal. So that is the art that I learned the hard way. And I can't stress enough how important it is to master your thoughts, because if you come to think, your thoughts govern your words, and your words govern your action, and your action governs the results that you attain, and that result again loop backs into your thought. So that becomes a cycle, and that's why we go through the same cycle over and over again. So I learned this very important concept from David R. Hawkins. He's the author of Letting Go and Force versus Power, in which he explains context and the content. So he explains into two separation: the content, which is the thoughts, and the context, which is us. So we are the context or the subject, and the thoughts and the emotions that are there are the content or the object. So once we can objectify our thoughts, so let's say for example, this marker that I have is an object for me because I can see it. Similarly, the thoughts or the emotions that we have is an object and we are the subject. So once we start to disidentify more and more with the thoughts and the emotions, the more we start to gain our power, and the more we can choose what thoughts and feelings that we want to fire and wire, what thoughts and intent that we want to nurture and build and create. There is a quote by Ramana Maharshi, which I want to share here. He shares, "The degree of freedom from unwanted thoughts and the degree of concentration on a single thought are the measures to gauge spiritual progress." Which means that now, if this is you, and if this is you are the context or the subject, and your thoughts are the object or the content. Now, if you learn to eliminate all distractions, eliminate all the noises now, and focus on your one single thought, laser focus on one single thought or intent, okay, that becomes the power, that comes to life, and that creates a reality, and you can create virtually anything, attract anything. So that is the point that we want to reach. So with that, let's get into the 4-step exercise. So this exercise is mastering and redirecting your attention. It's a 4-step process, it's a 4-step exercise. You can do it for at least start with 60 days, and then automatically your mind will be trained, or mind will be habituated to get into that cycle, and then you can keep on doing that. You can do this first thing in the morning or last thing before bed, and that will start to give you more results. So step number 1, set a timer for 20 minutes. Step number 2, sit in a quiet place and observe your thoughts without participating or engaging in them. When you do this, something very, very powerful begins to happen. Now, you are no longer your thought, but your consciousness observing that thought, or you are the context observing the content. And now, you're no longer a victim or a slave of your thoughts, and you're no longer compulsive or reactive to your thoughts. You choose which thoughts you want to act on or which emotions you want to respond on. And when this happens, now you have a say in what happens in your life. You become the creator of your life. And most of the times, when we wake up in the morning, we immediately rush to do our emails or work or attend to multiple things. But before we get to that level, if we do this exercise, then now we are no longer reactive. Before we attend to our emails or attend to going to the social media and mindlessly scrolling, or before we even get to doing 1,000 things, we are in that calm space, a stillness space where we choose what we want to do or think or act on, and we have a say in how we want our day to unfold. Right? So the day after day, so one day unfolds, the next day unfolds the way you want, the third day unfolds. And with this, your clarity, your awareness consciousness begins to grow higher and higher and higher. And with that, your self-image also begins to grow and higher and higher and higher, because now you are no longer a slave to your thoughts, but you are the master of your thoughts, and you've become a master in mastering your attention. And now you can create your own path of how you want to unfold your future events or future days. And sooner or later, your reality starts reflecting your inner image, your inner self-worth, your inner calmness. And also, you don't have to think about what action to take or what to do next. And when you're in this phase, you don't even have to worry about what action to take next. Your action will appear at your doorstep. By that, I mean when you get into that zone of your being a context or being a subject or being in a core space of your being, your doing and your action and your having or attracting will start appearing for you. People, places, opportunities, things start to knock at your doorstep. Because when you start focusing on the right thing will start showing up for you. Step 3. Inevitably, in this cycle, in this exercise, you will find yourself being lost in some thought or being in a deep discussion from, oh, I'm feeling a little hungry, to you go to your fridge in your mind and opening the fridge, and then from there you get to a conversation where you had with your friend about a restaurant, and so you keep chasing that thought until you realize that you are back to following the thought. Immediately at that point, instead of punishing yourself, you come back and then you accept, refocus back again, or get to that point again. Now, every time you do this, this is a victory. This is a muscle that you're gaining, a muscle of attention, a muscle of mastering your attention. Because another example that we can give is when you get a mosquito bite and you feel like scratching it. The more you scratch it, the more the scratch increases. The feeling of scratching increases, right? But if you let it be, slowly the feeling dissipates because your focus is no more on that. You refocus. So similarly, when your thought directs into different areas, when you are trying to do this exercise, and the more you realize and you come back, that's your victory. Okay? Refocus, accept, and refocus. Now, don't punish yourself and say, oh, I was wanting to do this, but then I got into this, and then again, it'll be like a arrow. One arrow is shot, that arrow can't be pulled back. But now, what you do is when one arrow is shot, you keep on throwing more arrows on yourself. Okay? So don't do that. Accept and refocus and get into the practice again of silence. Step 4, bring this practice to your daily life. Instead of compulsively reacting or being impatient on trying to do this or that and getting about a job, daily job, with that compulsion, you step back, you observe, you know that you are the subject, and there is the object, that your action that you need to take, and then take the action with full consciousness, with a full awareness. The more aware you do that job with, the more result you get, the more fruits of the labor that you will gain, right? I think there's one Indian sage again who says that when I drink water, I only drink water, right? I don't know which sage was that. But anyway, so when we do one action, we do that one action with full clarity, with full focus, with full attention, and your whole heart and mind into it. So when you begin, when a thought comes to your head, for example, to check your email, or to go ahead and do a certain action, check your delivery, for example, if you're waiting for something, or any action that you're willing to take. First, when the thought comes up, first step is just, at least for a couple of days before this sets in as a second default nature, pause and observe, and then take the action. Something very interesting will happen. You will begin to get the realization over time. You'll start to get this realization that, wait a second, I am not reactive, or I am not a slave to my thoughts, or I am not compulsive. In fact, I am the controller or master of my thought and master of my attention. And in a larger picture, you begin to subconsciously think that you are the master of your destiny. And when this begins to slowly multiply, because the mind works with multiplication, when this neurological network in your brain starts to multiply more and more and more and more, now you will have a realization of having a higher self-image, higher self-worth, and it begins to change you internally, because now you feel powerful, because you are stacking your wins every single day, stacking your wins every single action, and over time the compound effect is the eighth wonder of the world, like Einstein said. So now you start to compound your victory, you start to compound your wins, and you will see that sooner or later your mind will give up, your mind will start to obey you, your mind will begin to follow you rather than you following the mind. This is the training of your mind. You're training your mind to become your ally, become your servant, right? You're not fighting against your mind, you're training your mind to become a servant, which is the law of nature. So when your mind starts becoming a servant and serving you, then everything starts to follow for you, everything starts to fall in place for you. So this is one single action, one single exercise, but this can spiral up to whole other events that can start happening for you. Your attraction, your goal achievement, your clarity, your power. So imagine what you can do to be able to start having, when you have this, your attention mastered, then you can master anything. Then you can do the same thing in less time. The same thing you can do without any conflict, because now your mind will not fight with you, because your mind has started becoming your ally, your servant. And that's the natural law. That's a law of nature, because your mind is to serve you. You are not the servant to your mind. The mind is your servant. That is the law of nature. But what we have done is we have started to become the servants of our mind. And that's where the conflict happens, and that's where the stress happens, and that's where the internal sabotage of self-worth and self-image problems and lack of self-confidence, that is where it stems from. So like Einstein said, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the logical mind is a faithful servant. Man has created a society where we serve the servant and we've forgotten the gift. And that's what we need to reverse. So in this simple exercises, we are reversing our throne, or we are taking the place of mastering our thought and attention. And therefore, once we do this, at least for 60 days, do this for at least for 60 days, and you will see how your life begins to change. So with that, I conclude the video. So let's do a quick recap of what we've discussed so far. Okay, so we've discussed that today, in this day and age, there is a lot of distraction, there is a lot of shiny objects that we keep seeing, because today is not a lack of information. Information is flying everywhere, but it was few simple key exercises or key insights that can help you completely shift. And those are one or two simple exercises that is the barrier between you and where your goal achievement is, between you and where your high self-worth is, between you and where your confidence is, between you and where your reality, your true reality that you want to experience is. So therefore, we want to be able to master our thoughts, master our attention, because when we When we govern our thoughts, because our thoughts govern our words, and our words govern our actions, and our actions govern our results, and that loops back into our thoughts again. So this cycle loop goes over and over again. But if we are chartering in the same territory of the same similar kind of thoughts, similar kind of actions, similar kind of environment, if we keep rotating in that, we are not expanding. Our mind is just focused on a particular piece of land. We are not expanding our territory. Therefore, we are just getting into that same cycle of getting the same kind of content, the same, and we are the context, and the content and the context is not separated. We are the content and the context is together, so there is no separation, and therefore everything is getting mixed up. But what we need to do is, when we need to start harnessing our power, we need to start creating our own reality. We start to laser focus on one thing, and that can happen once we start doing this 4-step process exercise where we train our minds to become our servant. We master our thoughts and attention, and that's where miracles begin to happen. So step number 1, we set a timer for 20 minutes. Step number 2, we sit in a quiet place and we observe our thoughts without participating in it. When we start to observe our thoughts and start seeing it as objects or the content of our thoughts, then there is a disidentification, and in that disidentification, your power begins to rise, your self-image begins to rise, your confidence begins to rise. So there is no longer a conflict. Your mind is being trained now to follow your orders. When you want to get to that, attain that goal, or when you want to get to achieving that action, okay, now your mind will no longer come to battle you, but your mind is there to serve you. So that is the algorithm that we want to maintain. The more number of times we gain that victory of getting refocused, the more clarity, the more victory wins happen. So over time, this compounds, and over time you will come to a place where you are completely standstill and there are no thoughts. There are no thoughts. Step number 4 is, now when you begin to do this practice over 60 days at least to begin with, over the New Year's and over the next couple of months, then start to bring this into your daily life. After a week or so, once you start mastering this in the morning and evening, now slowly you will get the muscle to be able to do this in your daily life as well. So before you take any action, whether it is brushing your teeth or taking a shower or cooking your meal or taking your children for a walk or your dog for a walk, or any activity that first comes in your thought, first observe that thought. When that thought comes, don't immediately rush to take the action. First observe that thought has come. Okay, I need to take the dog for the walk. So that thought that comes, okay, you observe it, and then you pause and observe, and then now you consciously now you go to take the dog for a walk or whatever action that you need to take. You need to check your email, you need to sit for your meetings, you need to do your household work, whatever that it is. But first do that, make a habit at least to start doing this for the first few days, and then it starts slowly, mindfully start doing this, and then that becomes a default. Then you will start to gain that clarity and gain that power that you are the master of your thought. You are the master, and then you also start to gain your image of being in power. And now you start to gain your power, because now you know that in your deep within that now you've regained your true power, you've regained your confidence, you've regained your self-image, your self-worth, your true power, your true place. And from there, then now when you tell your mind to focus on one thing, for master your attention for a longer period of time, now your mind will obey you. And that is when the miracles begins to happen, and that is when your wind shift starts to happen, to start focusing on things that you want, right? Because when you start focusing on the things that you want, automatically the things that you want begins to get attracted to you. Now you start to get your action. You don't have to worry about what action to take next. Naturally your action will come. Your things will start appearing for you. Opportunities, people, places begins to happen for you. So with that, I conclude the video. I sincerely hope this was helpful. And if you're new to the channel, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon so that you can get notified every time I put up a new video. And also, I'm super excited to announce that I started a massive Facebook group, the Brain Gym VIP group. So if these kind of contents resonate with you, and if you are on a journey of developing your awareness and growing your manifestation practices, law of attraction, I'll leave the link in the description below, so do join the group. I'm super excited to announce a 2-hour free masterclass for the Mindset and Reality Revolution program for the group coaching is open up for registration. And what the Mindset and Reality Revolution program really is it's one of the highest paradigm of manifestation. So there are three paradigms of manifestation, which is the having, the doing, and the being. So when we get to the being state, or in quantum physics it's also called the identity shifting, because everything is in the state of being and becoming. So when we embody the state of beingness, then naturally the having and the doing falls into place. What I realized in my years of understanding and practicing and manifesting and studying neuroscience and quantum physics, what I understood was that it's never about the techniques, because technique is just the doing paradigm, or wanting to having paradigm, because the more you're wanting to have or want or get, the more you're stuck into that loop. The idea is to elevate into that awareness or that beingness state, where things start to fall into place, your ideas start to come, things start to manifest for you effortlessly, right? Because we learn the principles, or we learn to work with the laws of nature, where we go through the path of least resistance. We understand the universal principles of balancing, of being and doing, action and non-action, effort and surrender. So these are some of the powerful principles which we include in the program that can help you boost your manifestation, boost your awareness, boost your clarity, boost your productivity. So things start to open up for you. And so the Mindset and the Reality Revolution program is designed in such a way that it helps you to elevate to that state, ideal state, or the being state that you envision to become. And therefore you effortlessly attract the things that you want to do or have. I'm also super excited to announce that I started the one-to-one interaction for the premium coaching for the Mindset and Reality Revolution program. And so the enrollment link, I'll leave it in the description and in my Instagram bio. So both the links are there. So I can't wait to have an interaction with you and see how we can work together. So I hope to see you there, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time.